Jacob. So
this dude showing up with a freaking 10
There's
ton.
so much, and even if we had more, I don't think it.
oh my god.
Von Gittin just does a burger.
No, that is that
Oh,
Vaughn?
no, I like this.
You also have gigantic hands.
In that car right now. We didn't fly all the ways here to watch you walk around in a sling.
Believe it or not, 20% of all the FD merch I own has vanished. Just like you saving 20%, it's like it's vanishing. 20% of the cost of your FD merch vanishing. All you got to do, use podcast 25 at checkout. It's like magic. Podcast 25 at checkout, save 20%. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Outerzone, the official podcast of Formula Drift. My name is Jacob Gettins, and we have Ron, I'm going to say Bergenholtz. I feel like there should be an accent on here. Is there? Yeah. There's no accent to it? Nothing? There's no like inflection, anything fun?
Bergenholtz. It's
okay.
Amazingly enough, you're like, what's this Asian cat with a German last name?
Listen,
and believe it or not, Bergenholtz has it. Yeah. In college, I was constantly carded. And they're like, who are you taking your test for? You're not a Bergenholtz. Let me see your school ID.
Yeah.
But Bergenholtz has its roots in German, which means mountain wood. Right? Bergenholtz.
Yeah.
So I guess my white side, I guess, right, were a bunch of lumberers in the mountains of Germany or Denmark, one of the two.
Well, because that was basically the time where you were more or less named after what it is that you did, right? And like same thing with like cities, anything that has like a witch in it was originally a salt town, stuff like that. Yeah. So, that's interesting. Yeah, I wonder what our last names would be given our jobs now. It'd be like Jacob speaks a lot and Ron bitches more or something.
Ron the shit talker. Oh yeah, that's where the roots of my last name are.
There we go. But, like 100 years from now.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on your show.
Thanks, man.
This is going to be quite interesting. I still don't know what I'm doing here, but here I am. Obviously I've been with Nitto forever, and then obviously, help out with the do what I can on their drift programs for success.
Yeah, I think I think you still owed a favor to Andy Luck or something like that, and that's how this all got arranged. So I didn't realize until your show how close you two were. Like I knew you, like you're around somebody all the time, but like after seeing them, like, oh, these dudes go way back.
Well, it's even just give you an idea, right? Andy was the guy that was known for the import industry in Houston, and everybody knew it. Anybody in the industry knew it. Jim Law, back in the day, the founder of FD, right? And you can't forget Ryan either, but Jim used to work for IDRC, Import Drag Racing Circuit, back in the day, and back in the day we had just to give you an idea, I think it was 98, 99, where IDRC had their banquet, just like we're about to have an FD banquet this next Sunday, right? Where me and Jim Law are hammered. I'm surprised we made it home, coming from Pasadena back into Orange County. So a lot of the OG, a lot of the old guys that have stuck with it, we just have a passion for this industry. You know what I mean? And if you love it, you go all the way. And then give you an idea, my background was, I was supposed to be a surgeon. So pre-med in the early 90s, and then usually they assign you a mentor to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. And I remember what my doctor mentor told me. He goes, do you want to be a doctor? I go, I'm good at it. I get good grades on it. He goes, what do you love? I go, I love racing. I want to go racing. He goes, you know what? You're still young. Do that. Follow your passion. Go all the way. And so I dropped out, hid it away from my parents for, I took that tuition money and dumped it into my car. They didn't know that, but I dumped the tuition and, lo and behold, I'm still in it to this day.
Yeah, I was always told if you're going to make stupid financial mistakes, do it when you're young, so you have time to, dig yourself out of it. So I'm like right on that precipice, though. I think like before 40, it's okay, but then after 40, like the dumb mistakes seem to hurt a little bit more.
Passion takes care of itself, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing it's one thing to be in something that you're good at, but not have a love for it. And the finances, I guess, to fuel your passion come naturally. Because when you have a passion, you'll never work a day in your life, ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
Don't get me wrong.
I know what you mean.
You know, the leg work into, you know, what we do, podcasts and that sort of thing. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
We were talking about that at the beginning. How's been the launch of that show? Like that's you and I talked a little bit about it before you launched it. And I think I said to you, I'm like, on the surface level, it looks super easy. But I know for our show, each episode is like 8 to 10 man hours, like between research, shooting, and editing. So it's a full working day every single episode that comes out.
Yeah, plus the brainstorming. But,
yeah,
you know, in the grand scheme of things, you have great conversations with other great human beings on what we love, cars. Yeah. You can't go wrong. That reminds me, what do I do with my eyes? Do I look into the camera?
Let's go straight
what
into
do I
the
do with
camera.
my hands?
Just stare straight into the soul.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need, listen, I can describe anything else. It's pretty simple. It's the same background, the same shirt, and the same hat. So nothing else is different. Yeah. I do. Listen, I am a long-time Mazda fan. Or do you go Mazda or Mazda?
It's Mazda, but I imagine Canada's
Mazda.
Yeah, with a slight, probably French accent. Hard A.
Mazda, yes. The hard A.
You Canadians with you.
It's been incredible to see what you did with that platform for so long. I am a big Protégé fan, which never caught on.
I know, I saw
that. It was
that.
at the wrong end of import drag racing. Like it was just a little too late to the scene, which sucked because I still think that like the Mazda Speed Protégé is one of the greatest cars ever. But yeah, I mean, you've got the shirt on. Super cool to see that side of the world. But I want to go like way back, straight to like 15, 16-year-old Ron, Integra LS, friends on bikes. And it's just like, okay, this is where things kicked off, at least from what I found that like that, I mean, it is a Honda, that the Honda brand and that letter held on your chest for a very, very long time.
Well, it's just, you know, it's passion. Right? It's excitement. What you, believe it or not, the first Fast and Furious, right? The first Fast and Furious that you saw, that's all true. Except for the 12-speed Mazda RX-7. You know what I mean? That's not true, but most of the setting, the feeling you got from racing on the streets, it's pretty accurate. Helicopters, cops, that sort of thing. It's pretty accurate. But that era, you know, in late 80s, early 90s, is just passion. You know what I mean? Even with all the OG drifters of Englishtown. You know what I mean? Back in, you know, 2001, 2002, you know, I've heard all the stories where everybody was drifting Englishtown. You know what I mean? So it's just that passion. When you have passion, nothing can stop you at all. But if you're in it, you know, for other reasons other than passion, then, you know, it's not going to go well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. It'll push it. I mean, it definitely pushed people back then to really get into street racing, but that was before the import drag racing scene really kicked off. Like it was still happening, but not to the level, you know, that it reached later on in the 90s and early 2000s.
Well, I'd like to compare that era, right? The early 90s, because when you thought of drag racing, big tire out back, you know, a little skinny up front, right? But we're just a bunch of dumb kids, you know, doing it with front wheel drives and four bangers. What are you, crazy? 4-cylinder? No, that's not going to work. Oh, well, we're just stupid kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when you're that young, so long ago, when you're that young, right? I guess it still goes with me to this day. Right, is to do things that have never done before, to do things that people say, oh, you can't do that. That's impossible. You're not going to do that. You're not going to succeed in that. You're not going to be able to do that. And it's nice to be able to prove to the naysayers that it is possible. You know what I mean? But what we did at the street races, you know, It's all Mustangs, Camaros, Corvettes, that sort of thing. That was what was considered a drag racing vehicle, not some front wheel drive 4-banger, Civic or CRX.
Or
but our era wanted to prove them wrong, wanted the challenge, and that was the nature of why that took off. And another thing is what dumbasses were doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, there's these kids doing it instead of going the standard route with V8 and, domestic rear wheel drive. We did it differently. You know what I mean? Dare to be different.
Do you think, I guess we'll stick with one part of this. What was the turning point for you when import drag racing went from a bunch of kids on the street doing dumb stuff, like you said, to like 10-second CRXs? Like, was there a definitive moment where you're like, oh, we're in the big leagues now? Like, we're actually competing with some of the biggest teams? Like, was there an event or a time or a sticking point?
From 88, okay, the reason being, right, that it needed to turn people that were street racing were getting sick and tired of tickets. They were getting sick and tired of having their cars impounded. They were sick and tired of people getting hurt, you know what I mean, at the street races, right? And so the powers that be needed to solve those problems. And so now you had organized import drag racing at Battle Imports. You had organized car shows, that sort of thing, to prevent all that, right? The moment we realized it was going to get big, right, is the bigger fish, which was NHRA, came into it. And they're like, oh, wow, look at what's going on here. And the moment NHRA got into it, then major manufacturers, just the fact of hitting mainstream, so to speak, you know what I mean? Right when they started that's when we knew, we're like, holy shit, this is crazy. But in the 90s, we knew that it was going to take off because you had major manufacturers getting involved in it. Because in the early 90s, you can't pick up a Summit catalog. I want to get a turbo kit for a Civic for a 4-banger. It didn't exist. We had to make everything. You know what I mean? But the moment old school companies like Edelbrock and Holley and NOS started addressing these rice burners, right? Then we're like, oh, wow, this is cool. It's dry air.
It happens. California.
Yeah. So when that started taking off, then we knew we're like, this might take off. And, I was going to school and had a job within the industry. But right when NHRA jumped into it and started putting our rice burners in front of, 60,000 fans, right? Yeah. That's where things got real. I remember being invited by Wally Parks, the founder of NHRA, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, we want you to make some exhibition passes. Of course, I'm the crew guy. My brother's the driver, right? And we go in the water box and I'm looking down, I'm like going, or before we even got in the water box, I look down, usually staging lanes are off to the side and you look down and you're like, oh my God, we better not fuck this up, right?
Yeah.
And dude, mind you, that was during the heyday of NHRA domestic, right? 60,000 people on the sides. We're like, I remember vomiting my ass off to the side, just going, man, dude, this is not good. Because, on your typical import drag race, it'll be like maybe, 8 to 10,000 people. But when you get invited by the NHRA, right, to do exhibition passes, you start to get nervous and you want to make sure you do good. And after we made that exhibition passes, the domestic market's just like going, damn, it went that fast, front wheel drive. And, they'd go, some of the naysayers go, rice burner, that sort of thing. But when they came up, they're like, I can't believe the things that you guys are doing. I can't believe a front wheel drive can actually run 9s in the quarter mile. Can't believe it. And so it just started steamrolling. NHRA was able to really propel it, right? Yeah. And we knew, but NHRA ended up, or at least NHRA Sport Camp again ended up dying out in 2010, 2011. I mean, it was a 10-year span, but that's why when you look at FD, It's amazing what the FD and the FD family and staff have been able to pull off. I mean, what are we at? 22 to 23 years?
Yeah,
My
23.
gosh, that's insane. You know?
What do you think FD has done different in comparison to import drag racing? Because import drag racing hit a wall metaphorically very quick and just dropped like a stone. And there was a couple of years where it seemed like it just kind of spit and sputtered, but obviously we went from being one of the fastest growing, biggest motorsports in the world with import drag racing, and then within about 3 years, it completely evaporated. Do you know why that happened?
Well, one thing's for sure. Okay, so Formula D started in 2002, 2003, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Especially with Jim and Ryan bringing over JGTC and D1 at Fontana, right? And so now the consumer audience, import industry audience, had another alternative to look at, right? And so now you had, from 2002 to 2010, you had drifting and drag racing as stuff you can go be entertained.
Right.
You know what I mean? The powers, if I were to give a careful analysis, right? NHRA, in my opinion, they changed. The people that brought it in first had the heart in it, right? They had the heart. They believed in it.
Right.
It goes back to the same thing, passion, right? Then they switched people around and it turned, there really wasn't any passion behind the import drag racing. And mind you, NHRA is a major entity, you know what I mean? With power, you know what I mean? To get people to shed light on certain motorsports. The thing that's beautiful about FD, right, is the same OGs that founded it, right, are still carrying that passion for entertaining the masses to this day. In fact, in my opinion, right, this is my opinion, is FD is as American as apple pie. You know what I mean? You see it in manufacturer commercials. When you think of, the NASCAR of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? FD is part of that. You know what I mean? If not, worldwide. And where does it boil down to? The passion of the people behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that more or less answers that, because in the beginning with import drag racing, it was the people that wanted to do it, that just wanted a place to go and race safely. And then eventually the corporatization takes over. Someone realizes there's a lot of money in it.
There it is.
And then it goes from there. Whereas FD, although, without getting into the entire business structure of it, is still operated by the people that started it.
They kept it tight. You know what I mean? They kept it tight. There's so many people that are lifers over there. Andy, Cassidy, Ryan, Jim is obviously working elsewhere now, but
he's still
the foundation, he's still around.
He's still around. Yeah.
Oh wow, you're still alive, Jim? Oh, what's up, dude?
Every once in a while, like Ryan will say something, and I'm like, "You talked to Jim about this before." Like he'll say something. I'm like, "That is a Jim answer." I'm like, "You've been chatting with him about this problem. I can tell."
But the passion behind the people, that's everything. You know what I mean? Even with the rise of AI to do humans bidding, you know what I mean? Yeah. We're still humans doing business with other humans and interacting and sharing stories. If the people behind the product, and in this product, U.S. Drifting Entertainment, right? If there's no passion, it might as well be an empty shell. You know what I mean?
I think people can feel it, right? You can feel it within the product. You can it starts to show itself in other ways. Like I was told a while ago when announcing that if you smile while you're announcing, people can hear it. And I'm like, really? Yeah. And I was like, okay. And I kind of went back over some recordings. I'm like, shit, you really can. And I think the same sentiment happens with business management, where if you don't truly love it, it will come out in the product, the show, the whatever, right? And the staffing. Like the fact that there's been staff around for 20 plus years, that alone should tell you how it operates.
So FD's staying power has been insane. It's just been insane. And what does it boil down to? People.
Yeah.
Cool people that really believe in the product. You know?
Yeah.
But I'm very curious to see FD in the next 10 years. That's going to be pretty interesting. You know,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, that's going to be really interesting.
I've asked a lot of people this year about it, and I think you sit in a very interesting spot with obviously working with Nitto. You've had the development of chassis over the years. You've worked with a ton of different drivers. Where do you sit on the debate of the regulations within our sport right now? Like, do you think we are in a good spot? Do you think we need to go back in tire size? Because it all kind of comes down to tire size, let's be honest. Or do you think it's just like, let's go unlimited? Like, let's let the engineers at Nitto build something absolutely insane, as big as they want, and we'll fit it under a car and make it work.
Well, you know, you'll have to excuse me. I'm from Texas, so it's either go big or go home, right?
Fair.
So,
okay.
Give you this in perspective, right? And I've had talks about this, 10 years ago, right? Regarding, you know, where it needs to be. You'll have to excuse my bravado, but I like U.S. drifting because of its sheer speed, sheer speed combined with the point of destruction. I mean, that's all gold. There's a fair amount of purists out there that want this style and, you know, the pure mimicking of the other car. But U.S. brute drifting, right? You throw speed in there and style at the same time. That's what I love about U.S. drift. You know, much respect to D1, but, you know, I've always liked that bravado of U.S. drifting. So with that premise, right? With that premise, do we slow the cars down? Right? You know, I'll give you an analogy is, were F1 cars slower today than they were in the past? There's a certain amount of progression, you know what I mean?
But there's ebbs and flows. Like we're back up to pace, but there was an era where it was faster, relatively faster than what we have now. Like we're just getting back to breaking track records again.
And to me, that's fun.
Yeah, I agree.
And in the grand scheme of things, right? You know, don't get me wrong, there's a competition going on, right?
Yeah.
But believe it or not, the number one person in that whole ecosystem of FD, drivers, all that stuff, is the fans, right? One thing I do like that I've noticed FD has taken which is very good, despite horsepower, despite tires, despite any of that, right? Is FD and the judging staff, right, have taken an active role in protecting the follow driver, right?
Yes.
That they want to make sure that follow driver is protected. It's not a lead driver's dominated. He gets to do whatever he wants, right? I mean, take for instance, this past Utah, you had the initiation box.
Yeah,
right?
Great. I loved it. I know it was controversial, but I liked it.
It was hard to get used to, but I get it. I understand what they do. Things of that nature, like the initiation box or hill, whatever the hell you want to call it, right?
Yeah, the bubble. Yeah.
You know, the chicane, right, for the lead driver, that helps assist, right? And then after the lead driver not only has to go through the chicane, he's got to go around the initiation box. I get it. You know, it took some time to get used to it, but things of that nature, right, can help promote parity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it worked beautifully, right? To entertain us, the fans, right, to see that closeness, to see that mimicking value. Because to me, that's where it's at. It's like, damn, dude. Before, with the progression of FD, right, it'd be like, oh, he's a car length away. That's cool. You know what I mean? Now, as the years go by, you know, if you're not inches from the guy you're following, you're not following right. You know what I mean? Or, you know, it's not as entertaining. So all these drivers got to entertain. And despite horsepower, despite tires, despite the suspension, right? The judges at FD have been making sure to create that closeness. And I get it, because we have to entertain the fans.
Yeah.
Right? We have to entertain the fans, and for them to have a good experience at an event. That's why it's so bad for the same thing that happened to us in drag racing is oil downs suck.
Yeah.
You know, that's downtime. You don't want that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's been I mean, the only thing you can do is just learn to fix it faster. Like that's the only thing that you can
Sweep
do.
trucks, oil trucks, to pick all that shit up. But FD's done Kevin does a good job, and he has the background to help create that parity. But we can't hold back progression. You know what I mean? We don't. The performance of these vehicles should, in my opinion, never stay static. There should be always, and you have to understand, I'm speaking from a racer's standpoint, right? You have to push the limits all the time. And we push those limits little by little, right? For greater entertainment, greater entertainment value for the fans, and for the sake of pushing the envelope rather than having it static. Push the envelope mechanically and push the envelope on a driver skill level. I mean, some of these judges are asking for all kinds of crazy stuff. And on top of that, putting in certain details for the lead driver to follow to give a chance for the follow driver to get in there. I get what they're doing, but I think as a good example, right? As a good example is the initiation box. I was just like, that kind of sucks. Oh, I see. Things like that help out big time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Looking through like the years of FD, there's kind of a cycle that we end up going through where it's like we get some sort of leap in technology that allows somebody or some team to just jump ahead, and then the teams will then more or less catch up with it, and then the judging has to then circumvent that, and then another team finds a way to get around that, and then it's just this continual cycle over and over again.
Constant progression, you know.
And I wouldn't say it's like a straight line. It definitely has like, there's certain years where things just absolutely explode. The Daigo era is obviously a big one. Tanner Faust early on, that was a big one. James Dean's three-peat, that's a big one. James Dean now is another big one. Like, it's just interesting that we continuously go through these same cycles. But as you said, the driving gets faster, the proximity gets closer, it gets more aggressive, and then we just have to put more rules in to try and find a way to keep the show going.
But you know what inevitably is going to happen, right? Is there's several different facets for success, several different characteristics, right? There's a team, there's being fiscally responsible, there's also having the team to be able to have the means and the money to get it done, right? To have everything. Some teams, they're like the dream team. You know what I mean? They got so much talent on the team, and that's just the nature of racing. Inevitably, right? We talked about this with Andy at the last episode, where there'll be franchises, and that's inevitably where it's going to go, right? Where every team, you know, most teams in the FD landscape, right? They have a lot of weekend warriors. You know, you'd be lucky if, say, I don't know, 15, 20% of the field actually has full-time employees doing nothing but figuring out how to win at a Formula Drift event and promote themselves and whatnot. You know, maybe 20%, if that, you know, at max. But when you have the teams all not qualified, but they have the means to push the envelope. And that's, for me as a racer, right? I like to see him push the envelope. Well, what can we do where we can get a lot of speed at full lock? One of my pet peeves, I don't want to detract, but to be able to have that much speed at that much angle, you know what I mean? To me, that's where I'm a purist. But one of my pet peeves is when I see a guy go fast and then he's driving at shallow angle. I'm like, don't worry about that guy. He's driving at like, I don't know, 10 degrees of angle. That's why he's fast. So don't worry about him. But
I feel like that's gone away though. Like that was.
No, there's still some people driving at shallow angle. But and I'm like, dude.
I think it was really bad 2015 to like 2018. It was like really, really nasty. Like the Formula Drag era, if you want to call it that. It still happens, but I would say it is more punished now than it is ever been.
Agreed.
Yeah. things like hesitation, things like, a balk on initiation, slow rolling, like all of these pet peeves have just, the judges have in the last couple of years have really just come down. And yeah, I mean, and I want to say,
I applaud the judges. I
100%. 100%.
And they got the worst job at the event.
Oh,
They
guaranteed.
have the worst job at the event.
Yeah. I would rather clean toilets than judge an FD event. That's for sure. Done deal.
What's another thing? One thing I wanted to bring up was there was a lot of talks, right? There was a lot of talks about putting a computer in there to give you the judge box, drift box, whatever it was, right?
Yep.
For judging. I think that ruins a lot of the entertainment value because when you have a human element in there, I mean, we can chuck AI in there, right? And well, according to these parameters, this person won. No, fuck that. We're still human beings witnessing other human beings and enjoying our interaction together, whether or not they're good or bad, right?
Right.
If a particular call is controversial, to me, that's entertainment value. We need that. And we need the judges to be characters. We need them. Oh, well, this particular judge is always judging fucked up. And he's the judge that judge fucked up, right?
Yeah.
And then we have these two judges always judging the same way. And that, not only do we have the entertainment value behind the drivers, the amazing quality of the cars and the technology behind them, the entertainment value of people such as yourself and Jared up in the booth, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see you guys slug it out once in a while and get in a fight. It's like, dude,
he's
Jared,
so much
you're
bigger
on
than
drugs,
me.
dude.
He's
I don't know what
so
you're
much bigger
seeing,
than me.
dude. It doesn't matter. You go see one of the things that especially you guys' chemistry, you guys get along. Do you guys ever go, no, I don't see it that way. You get in an argument?
I wouldn't say an argument. It's usually just like here, like on that note, he's calling it in real time. The chance for him to screw up is so much higher than mine because I get to watch it, think about it, and then analyze it. So he's immediately going to have much less likely, or he's going to be much less likely to be 100% accurate than I will because I have two
Who's to
chances.
say you're not right? Jared's not right all the time.
Okay, fair enough. I do screw stuff up. It does happen for sure. Thank you.
But
Thank you for keeping me humble.
The gold is, right? Controversy,
forth.
right?
Yeah, you're right.
The entertainment value behind you guys in the booth and the entertainment value of, I don't know, let's say, last round, I think it was James Dean and Matt Field in the final. And let's say, or no, here, better yet, Matt Field getting climbed over by Dylan Hughes, right? And Dylan Hughes' Matt Field's guy throws a water bottle at the other guy. You know what I mean? That's entertainment value. Controversy is always a good thing. That's why the judges and on their calls, and everybody say, dude, the judges are stoned. They don't know what they're doing. All the flack that Ryan got to go through on the internet of judges. That's the entertainment value. You know what I mean?
I agree.
You know what I mean?
What if it was all AI, what would people bitch about? That's the thing. Like, it would be the same thing. It would be the same argument. Well, I think people would just be like, that AI is broken. That computer's broken. They should run this brand. They should do that.
But AI is not going to reply back to you. With a judge, you guys do it all the time. Let's get this judge. Let's see what his take is on it, right? And then he gives his take on why he ruled this. Hey, how come the other two judges were going for this driver, yet you're the only one that went for that? Explain yourself. And that's human beings interacting with human beings, and that's what makes it fun.
I agree. I think we need to feel like we're right.
You need to get in more
time.
fights with Jared.
Maybe. I'll work on it.
Maybe. You pussy.
I'm not, listen, I'm Canadian. I am Canadian. We are not not.
So being Canadian is an excuse.
No.
Being an excuse. Oh, well, you have to excuse me. I'm from the U.S., so we have a lot of bravado.
Yeah, you guys get into more fights than we do.
Yeah, but you need, Jared, what are you smoking, dude? What did you see out there? He didn't even hit Outerzone 1. Are you crazy?
I don't know. Right, listen, you saying that
Jared's
the amount of comments
hate me for this.
The amount of comments that are coming like, that's exactly what Jacob needs. He's got to grow a pair. He's got to start arguing with them. That's what's going to happen.
Grow a pair.
Yeah. You know, let me check with Ryan Sage. Let me make sure that he's fine with me fighting, 3.2 times per hour, and then we'll go from there.
It just, it just makes, you guys getting along all the time. Don't get me wrong, it's great. You guys have great chemistry, right?
Right.
But there's always, I'm thinking more, and you're your own man, I would imagine. You have your own opinions. Don't get me wrong, Jared is the OG, right? And you bow down to him and that sort of thing. But, you got to have your own opinion. You're your own man, so grow a set.
Okay, Ron. You know what? We'll see what happens at Shoreline. This is coming
Ron
out
told
after.
me to talk shit to you.
So this is coming. We're recording this before Shoreline, but it'll come out after. So someone's going to be on that, be like, "What happened to Jacob? Like he is just going at Jared." And like they're going to go back and watch this. Be like, "It was Ron. It was all Ron."
I would imagine you have an opinion, right? Well, I think he hit Outerzone 1, and
it does happen like that. Those conversations do happen. Maybe not as like aggressive as what you want, but like there's definitely. Usually what it starts with is I'll say, "Well, Jared," and then that means like so that's my passive aggressive way of arguing.
when you hear you Jacob say the word "well," there's dude, fuck you, dude, you're wrong.
I'll try that one on for size. I'll see how that one works.
Don't get me wrong. I mean,
I know.
I'll give you an idea. Okay. I'll give you an idea, right? F1, right? F1, It was cheese and cracker. Everybody sort of got along. And then all of a sudden Netflix got a hold of it.
Yeah.
Right? The new marketing company, I forgot what the name of the marketing company. They go, we need to document the behind the scenes of the shit talking, the people getting mad at other teams. And what happened to F1 in the US?
It blew up.
It blew up, right? Entertainment value. Don't get me wrong, we can be all... Oh, go ahead.
No, I've argued this exact point. I'm in agreement with you. I just never put myself in front of my own argument. That was the whole thing. Like,
debate.
I've been talking about this with Matt Field. I think Matt Field and Jack Shanahan are like the two perfect people for this role. Matt Field this year has been leaning into it a little bit more. Jack Shanahan can be one of the mouthiest people I know. He has reined it back. I think it's just because his performance hasn't been incredible, so he doesn't want to come out as like this really angry person. Angry is the wrong word, but like a very openly opinionated person.
Good. Show emotion. You know what I mean? That's entertainment value. If the viewership can see the passion behind an announcer or even a driver, that'd be great. Here, I'll tell you a good story, right?
Okay.
That Matt Field era, right? Regarding, I think it happened in Long Beach. And basically, Matt Field turned into the enemy, and everybody hated him.
Against Osbo.
Major hate on his comments and stuff. And I was talking to Matt about it when I think he podiumed Seattle, I believe. Yeah, he podiumed Seattle. I don't remember if he won it. And I was like, you should nurture this. You're a character. You're the one everybody hates, but even the fact that they hate you, they pay attention to you. You live free in their head, right? And I go, you know what you should do? You should paint your car black, dress all in black, and be the public enemy number one, and just cradle it, right? And lo and behold, I think the following year, this car was completely black, right? But we need characters. It's one thing to go, hey, great race, I hope to get you at the next event. That's not entertainment, but it's one thing dude. And next event, I'm shoving you into the wall. You're done.
I think the best way we can do it, and the way that Netflix did, is that more stuff within the pits needs to get documented, right? Mm-hmm. That's the big thing, because I don't think it's going to be the drivers. I think it's going to be the crew guys. And you can speak to this being a crew guy. If I need dirt, if I need info, if I want to actually know what's going on in someone's pits, I never ask the driver. I ask not even the head chief mechanic. I ask the second mechanic, because they know everything that's going on, and they're not trained enough to hold back and tell me the proper thing. They'll go off like, oh man, I've been blowing spark plugs all week. I've been swapping spark plugs out. Look at all the belts we've been blowing all weekend. I'm like, okay, keep going. those are the people we have to train a camera on because they
that's
talk so much shit.
entertainment. That is entertainment. Like when they start, Kevin did a great job with the timer clock, right?
Yeah.
Oh, are they going to make it? Are they going to make it in the pit?
It's beautiful.
That's entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What goes on in the pits is entertainment. It's one thing to go, oh yeah, that's a cool car, cool angle, blah, blah, blah. But these are human beings that are making this happen, that have a ferocity and passion, right? To win, you know? And I would imagine you have your favorites, right? You have your favorites.
I wouldn't say I have favorites. I have people that I know better, I think is the best way to put it. Like,
but are you rooting for certain drivers?
I will root for the bottom drivers that I want to see do well. And this isn't like
David and Goliath.
Yeah, and it's purely based on like a story and entertainment side of things, similar to what you talked about. Like when Trenton Beacham did well in Utah, like 2 years back to back, I was like, that is such a great story. When Jonathan Castro just went out and like went head to head with James Dean, that was nuts. When Tommy Lemaire blew up his car in Long Beach, drove someone else's, I think it was Rome's car, came out, I think he made like top 16 or something. I was like, this is perfect. To see a top 5 contender just roll the competition, it's great. It's a legacy. We will look back on everything James Dean did as like one of the greatest eras of drifting history. But it's, in my opinion, it's not as entertaining as seeing somebody who probably shouldn't win come up and just start chopping heads. That to me is the most exciting. That's the most inspirational. That gets the most views.
The one Goliath killer that I'm seeing right now just blossom.
Yeah.
No back is a dangerous man.
Dude.
That's a bad man. And poor Osbo, he's got to get him in top 32 again at Long Beach. Poor guy. Whoa.
No backs up there. Oh, you're getting crazy.
Dude, that guy's a bad man. That's a bad man.
He doesn't get talked about enough. And I think it's because he's so quiet and he's so mild. Like he's a very mild-mannered guy. You know, it's everything to get 100 words out of him. So, but often it's the drivers that speak more, as you said, the ones that are more controversial, the ones that are like willing to grab the mic and say the crazy shit, they're going to get the most attention.
Yeah, the quiet drivers, right, that show themselves on their driving, and then you have the drivers that they hate. We need these characters in the sport. We need that different, because human beings or the fans will be able to relate to. They'll be able to. I was going to say something bad, but they'll relate. They'll relate to a Forsberg. They'll relate to a James Dean. They'll relate to an Osbo. They'll relate to Jack Shanahan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fans are gonna. That's what we need. The moment fans are arguing in the stands about which driver who should win, right?
Yeah.
Like ferocious. Yeah, we've reached a good level. You know,
Dylan Hughes in Seattle every year. Every time Dylan Hughes goes out in Seattle, I feel like there's going to be a riot. And this year especially.
Yeah. So that it's good. You know, we have the cars. I mean, I remember, this must have been 15 years ago, where we had a marketing seminar, right? And about how to market the industry. And I had said that, you know, the cars are great. You do the same stupid 3D, you know, the three-quarter shot of the nose and the side and the steering wheel turn. But we need to cover the story behind the person who built that car. What did they go through? What happened? Same thing with these drivers, right? The fans need to relate to their stories. You know what I mean? To me, that's key. The moment we get, you know what? Well, we've been so, we're talking about FD. We've been so inundated with trying to explain. I mean, over 20 years, we've been trying to explain the sport, right? Educate, line, angle. What are they doing? What exactly? Let's focus in on the people behind the cars. You know what I mean? What's their story? What did it take to get? I mean, dude, Jeff Jones, he's got some amazing stories of what it took to get to the event. And, you know, random guys torching his hotel room, and man, those stories to me are gold. And one of the reasons why I'm a fan of somebody like Jeff Jones is Jeff Jones is raw. He is the true David that is gonna get there, and you can see that he's gonna get there. Jeff Jones hasn't podiumed yet, but I'm a big fan of Jeff Jones and his how raw he is, how fun he is. You know what I mean? So I can identify with Jeff Jones and his crazy antics. Could I identify with a clean cut driver? Probably not. You know what I mean? That's why we need to create these heroes, create these antagonists. You know what I mean? But how the hell did we get on this subject?
No
Anyways,
idea. I love it. Dude, I'm fine with it. I don't have any agenda. I got a bunch of notes, but whatever happens, happens. That's how I play this show. This episode's really good. I'm just going to remind you, use podcast 25, podcast 25 at checkout when you get FD merch. Save yourself 20%. That's it. Now back.
But that's where I see the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are people, you know?
Well, I think opinions only come from experience. Like that's how I see it. When somebody has a hard opinion about something, I always go like, okay, what did you go through to more or less come up with that? So going through some finer points of your career in particular, talking about the controversy, talking about, the showmanship of it. I think one of the funniest things you ever did was in '99 telling Import Show Off and HIN Hot Import Nights that basically if they wanted you to come back, they had to just pay you for an appearance because you were done beating everybody.
You know what's silly is what had happened was I went to Hot Import Nights, right? And I think it was Hot Import Nights Long Beach. And amazingly enough, you can be competitive in car shows, right?
Right.
And there was basically 20 trophies that were available, right? For, best this, best that, best that. I took like half of them, right? And I was just like, where I felt ashamed for taking all those, right? So I remember talking with the owner of Hot Import Nights, and I was just like, I don't need to be entering these anymore. I'm done with it. If anything, just pay me a small fee just to show up and, promote the companies I promote. So I stopped doing that and just ended up just displaying, you know what I mean? Just for the sake of hanging out. But as far as, and then I lost all interest because, don't get me wrong, car shows are cool to hang out once in a while. Larry Chen's events, that sort of thing, before at the events. But hanging out at a car show for 10, 12 hours, that shit ain't fun.
Just waiting for a judge to walk by and you get, 2 minutes to explain your car kind of thing.
I was over that. So, But I've always stayed competitive.
I really want to get into the front wheel drive, rear wheelie bar thing because I feel like it's one of the most defining parts of your career. For everyone listening, it is a thing that happened. It did pick up 3/10, so it did work. Can you explain the physics or your thought? Like, I want to better understand it. I went through and tried to understand that basically it prevents the levering of the car because it'll essentially drive the force forward, but you're probably better at explaining this than I am.
In the grand scheme of things, right? If you're in a car and your buddy steps on the gas, you naturally get thrown into the seat, right? So that being thrown into the seat is basically that weight transfer. Ooh, this sucks. Hold on. You got a
muscle spasm?
Yeah, hold on, or whatever you call it. Okay, there. Ooh. Okay.
Keeping that in.
It's still there.
Oh, no. You got to stop running, Ron.
I'm not drinking enough water. That's the problem. Anyways.
You think it?
Okay, I think it's gone. Okay, so the natural propensity of weight to transfer to the back, right? Upon acceleration, right? So on a rear-wheel drive car, you sort of want that, right? Because now all that weight's on the rear tires and you're getting the most amount of traction. Front-wheel drive car, that's the worst thing that can happen to the vehicle is the drive wheels are up front and then all the weight is coming off the front tires to help it get it down the track, right? So the wheelie bar acts as a bump stop to prevent that wheel transfer. The moment it hits the wheelie bars, it shoves the weight back over the nose rather than keep transferring all that weight out back. You know what I mean? And so when you have that bump stop back there, it'll keep that front tire loaded and on the ground rather than raising up the whole front suspension, removing all the weight over the nose. You know what I mean?
It makes me think of like how a weight distribution hitch works on a trailer, like similar idea by essentially extending. Oh, okay. I got to go back to like,
well, it's artificial wheelbase too.
Right. Right. Exactly.
You see a top fuel car, dragster, right? Those things are like, 400 inches, 600 inches long, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're funny cars and top fuel cars have the same engine, but the funny cars are shorter. But in the grand scheme of things, the top fuel cars go faster, right?
Right.
And so artificial wheelbase in the form of a wheelie bar in a front wheel drive car pays dividends. You know what I mean? For traction. So, when you're drinking a lot of Heinekens and looking at a race car, you come up with all kinds of fucking bright ideas. And so, the story behind that is we're all, drinking, whatever, and looking at the race car and just going, well, what happens if we cut the car in half? Dude, you're on drugs, dude. We're not cutting the car in half to make it longer. You're stupid. And then looking at it some more, and then lo and behold, the wheelie bar idea came up, and it made a big difference. It made a big difference. So, that was our claim to fame.
Is that car still on display?
It was at the NHRA Museum for a little bit, and then when Carroll Shelby died, NHRA wanted to dedicate the whole exhibit to Carroll Shelby, and mind you, I can't hold the light to that, and so we moved the car out. It was an honor to be there for the time it was there at the NHRA Museum, but I still have it. It's out in Houston now, and then hopefully when I have time, which means never, I'll get that car running. You know what I mean?
So doing my research, there's many eras of Ron. It was great going through and reading old like Wired magazine articles on you and things like that. But there's very little in between drag racing and drifting. Like everything that I was reading was like Ron crushes all these records, does all this stuff in the CRX, jumps over, does a bunch of stuff with Mazda, and then kind of disappears a little bit. Maybe you're obviously doing things, and then it was like boom, FD, stuff with JTP, stuff with Jun Mang, I don't know how much the story of the transfer from those two types of racing comes up.
Well, what had happened was running a team is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not easy, right? And especially, of course, there's multi-year deals that exist, right? But running a team from year to year and, soliciting sponsorships and things of that nature, it's really rough and very taxing. You know what I mean? Back in the day, SEMA was the place to be looking for partnerships. Sponsorship is such a bad word.
Right.
And for me, at the time as a team owner, it was taxing. It was time to step back. You know what I mean? And so I took a step back from, the RX-8 sold, all that stuff, and just managing. I mean, I applaud any race team that can consistently do it year after year. That shit ain't easy. It's hard. And especially doing it for, close to 20 years, racing, with the trailer and all that and looking for sponsorship. I mean, dude, hats off to the people who still do it. Like Papadakis. Papadakis is a good example. He's been at it since 96, 95. You know what I mean? That shit's a bitch. It's a real bitch. It's money intensive. It's parts intensive. It's labor intensive. There's a saying that goes, you want to make $1 million at racing, you start off with 2. Yeah. And there's no more truth to that.
I did read a story that, I don't know if it was your first 9-second pass, but one of a few, where you literally had to win the race in order to make payroll. Like that, like you're like, oh, we have to do this in order for this event to be covered. I can see if I can go back and find the year. And
that's not the only case. I mean, I'm within the confines of a team. I'm known as the owner that would put, I don't know, 8 guys in one hotel room, double beds, one guy sleeping in the in the bathtub, one guy sleeping underneath the sink, one guy sleeping on the couch. You know, you had to do, like, I didn't have a truck driver. I'm the one that drove to all the races, you know? And so it was rough. Back in the day, we didn't have the internet wasn't big, social media wasn't big, magazines were king. We had to do what we can do to get that reach, you know? Back in the day during the NHRA days was, you know, what kind of worth was 1 minute of TV time on ESPN2, you know? Now it's different. Social media has changed the game extravagantly. I was tired. I was just like, I needed a break, you know, racing for that long and putting that many hours, and then drifting was pretty rough. You know what I mean?
Back in the day,
Yeah, back in the day, it was rough. Just the damage, and you know, it was very rough. I come from drag racing where the car's pretty much stellar condition every event. You know what I mean? The only thing you have to worry about is damage with the motor. You know, but with drifting, it was rough. It's rough from a team owner standpoint. That was, over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know? So, but luckily for me, Nitto goes, well, we still want you to use your brain in marketing. We can bring you on board to look over all our assets. So that was great. And now more on looking at different types of marketing assets, how well that we get the amount of impressions from a particular asset, you know what I mean? And how does that translate into tire sales? But it's still enjoyable. The passion is still the same to win, you know, whether it be in FD or back up certain social influencers to gain market share, that sort of thing. And look for new horizons that can help promote the brand. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. But it's more of a, I guess, I'm still as crazy as they come, but you know, it's more on an executive level. Don't get me wrong. I would love to go racing again. We do have plans to go drag racing, the OG team, so that way we can have a reunion. But
Cali team, yeah,
definitely not 10, 12 events a year. Us old guys are going to do it maybe once, twice a year. You know what I mean? Just to get together and stay sharp.
Yeah,
but
cool.
It's changed for me. You know what I mean? It's changed.
Well, I mean, now it's much more about figuring out CPMs and checking sector times, right? Like those are the numbers you're crunching at this point, as opposed to, you know, having to look at budgets of running an entire team.
Yeah. Just looking for tendencies, and it's getting that data as well as human data on how particular drivers are doing, because obviously at FD, you look at all the drivers, right?
Yeah.
You look at all their tendencies, what they like to do, where they're at, how they're doing, what particular tracks they do good at, what particular tracks they have a percentage of being successful, right? And feeding that information, where they initiate. Are they initiating consistently? You know what I mean? Are they initiating late? Are they initiating at the 3-cone, 2-cone, 1-cone? Are they leaving outer zone too early? Are they leaving outer zone too late? And you write all this stuff down for 32 to 34 crazies out there, right? And then you feed that information. You have these or at least in my case, I have my meetings with all the spotters on what I observed out there with this particular driver. You look at the ladder, all right, we got this guy, this guy, this guy. All right, this guy's known for this guy's known for this guy's known for this. What has he been doing this past weekend? Well, he's been initiating 3 out of 5 times at cone 2. You know what I mean? And then for some unknown reason, he did it at cone 1. Well, why did he only do it at cone 1? Well, what did you see? What did you see? Same theory that goes is that 4 heads observing are better than 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then just nonstop. So, you know, Nitto and then me at the track, we do our best to, even in the smallest way possible, help make a difference for them to just succeed and increase their odds of winning. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, you know, you got to win.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not there.
I mean, it's
Nitto's
working,
not there.
obviously.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's,
Nitto's not there to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what you're doing is obviously working. Like, you and I had conversations very early on before I was even in the booth, where I was like, I remember looking over, I'm like, what is Ron doing? And someone's like, he's writing the sector time for every single driver. And then I would see someone would come over, a spotter would come over, and you take your paper, flip it, fold it, lick it, tear it off. Here you go. There's your competitor. There's everything you need to know about the sector times. It was like, I'm like, holy.
Data in marketing activations, data in racing, data in drag racing. Even when I did Trans Am racing as a crew chief, the data's insane. The data's obscenely insane. It helps you analyze, helps your drivers, empower them to make decisions and know what they expect out of a driver. You know what I'm saying? Or their competitor, their enemy. But losing sucks.
Yeah.
Losing sucks. We lost for quite some time at the early beginnings of FD, but you got to win. And especially my background, right? I want to win.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I represent Nitto. I want all our Nitto guys to win. And even if I make a small, half of a percent contribution to a particular Nitto sponsored team, so be it. But I'm not going to sit on my hands and just go, oh, that's cool, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
No, how may I be of service to you, RTR? How may I be of service to Sorensen? How may I be of service to any of our sponsored teams? What can we do to help increase your odds? So my small 0.5%, I do what I can to help the spotters or talk to engineers. Maybe there's some, and I go, this is what I got. Take it for what you want with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at least I tried, you know what I mean? Rather than just go, oh yeah, that's a cool sticker on your car. Is everything cool? You got all your tires? But what can we do more? How can I be of more service to my teams?
I think I gotta come by next time you and Mike Kojima start talking about like car setup with Sorensen, because that to me would be just fascinating, because you guys are both very, very intelligent, but also incredibly different in the way you communicate.
Oh yeah.
So I just think it'd be good.
Suspension black art is a never ending process. There's some foundations behind it, but it can get pretty crazy. You know? I mean, I wish I was more active in it, but it's nice talking about the dynamics, especially in drifting, because the dynamics of a road race car fully gripped up and a drift car are obscenely different.
Yeah. Well, they need to be, right? One is we're still looking for grip, but what we're making the tire do and how we want the suspension perform is so vastly different than what you would want on a road car.
Vastly different.
Yeah, there's not many road race cars that are talking about how much camber gain, their car's got, or how much dynamic toe it's got. Like things like that is which, I mean, dynamic toe coming more from the drag racing world. From your perspective, is there, I guess, going back further in history, what are some things that came out of drag racing early on that like went into drifting that were game changers? Obviously, we can't run wheelie bars, but
yeah. It's funny, mind you, FD had a progression, right? And people started to learn more and more and more and more. For success in anything, it could be activation programs, it could be drifting, it could be something as simple as wiping your ass, right? It's all in the details, right? If you don't follow details, right, then you might be successful. I gave the analogy of wiping your ass. If you don't wipe it good, it's going to itch later, and then you're going to have to fucking do it again, right?
Right.
So
this is true.
It's all in the details. So getting a hold of dynamic toe, rate of dynamic toe, rate of anti-squat to non-anti-squat. It's the details that are going to help you succeed, and a lot of experience comes into play with that. a lot of some fresh eyes looking at it. That's why I like where FD is going with the amount of detail. That's what's so fascinating on how people are controlling grip on the front. Before it used to be all grip, but then the rear. Now things are shifting front, and then now they're shifting back to the rear. And there's that balance of grip on the front and rear. You got too much in the rear, you won't feel anything in the front. If you have too much in the front, you're not going to go anywhere with the rear. So there's a balancing act that's going on with suspension tune-ups. But the thing I like overall is that people are pushing the envelope. They're not being static. We got to think about that in hindsight. That's why I love US drifting, because we're always pushing the envelope. We're always being those cowboys that want to take it above and beyond. You know what I mean? Rather than, don't get me wrong, we have to have some type of regulation, but we shouldn't have to hinder so much regulation where there's no growth, there's no progression. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
I totally.
But
get
dynamics is so cool. I mean, that's one thing I miss is, all right, hey, we I have some Days of Thunder analogies. Yeah, I put a little wedge in it. How'd that feel? I felt good. But what happens back in the day, I remember with my brother being the computer nerd, is we'd look in the data.
Yeah.
And you'd look in the data and you're just like, holy shit. Now, in this case, Chelsea Denofa driving our car. When you look at the data on Chelsea Denofa driving our car, it's just like, holy shit, this man is insane.
Yeah.
And you look at G's, you look at commitment to throttle. It is data is amazing. It's for me being a nerd. When you look at the data logs, it's just as entertaining as watching the car out on track.
Well, when you understand it, and you like, I work in numbers all day, right? Like my job on the marketing. You and I actually do very similar things when it comes to analytics of marketing data. So you can look at something with almost no outside influence and tell exactly what has happened, right? Like when you get into throttle mapping with like Denofa, you could look at some of those and know what track that is, right? You can see the throttle on and off and be like, oh, it's 100% throttle for 15 seconds or whatever. And then it comes off, and then it's throttle for 1 off, throttle for 2 off, and then throttle for 5. And you're like, oh, that's Seattle. Like you can hear it, you can feel it. So I think that information is so incredibly important. So is that, I guess, like going back to my question before, like, was the data coming from drift or from drag racing super influential in drifting? Yeah.
Guaranteed. It is the same. It's looking at G's and dynamics. A lot of people looking on the outside in go, well, their tires are spinning, so they're not going anywhere. No, it's one and the same. Of course, there's wheel speed versus ground speed to determine what the G's are and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
That we used to do. I don't know what they're doing now, but
they still do ratios, yeah. But it's not as. I mean, it's not as. Yeah. Are you guys checking like running tire temp sensors a lot to understand like operating temperature, or is that more of a feel thing?
Well, a lot of the engineering staff at Nitto, we gather data on, back in the day with test sessions with the engineers, and then the engineers work their magic.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was still like actively going on with cars now. I think I've spotted them on 2 cars. I don't know if I've spotted them on any Nitto cars, like drivers running tire temp sensors. That's what I was wondering. Like,
what happens is a lot of the teams that are looking at the attention to details, right?
Yeah.
Find out what the tire wants, and then that just ends up the control, right? Like it's going to do good in this range, and they know it right off the bat, and they do their homework back at the shop. I remember a great racer told me, races aren't won at the track. Races are won back at the shop. It might not apply to drifting, but, either you did your homework and you know what the car wants, and then you say, here, driver, go do something amazing with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you have a grand piano that's well-tuned at the shop, right? and then you put some schmuck driver in there, a schmuck guy that doesn't know how to play the piano. You have a great piano, a great, beautifully tuned piano, right? And then you got a sucky piano player. The music that's going to come out of the piano is going to be terrible. But if you match a they know about temp sensors, that sort of thing. You match a well-tuned piano with a great driver. It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah,
it is a thing of beauty.
It's obviously, it's worked out incredibly well with RTR. I think the pairing of that tire. Go ahead.
Yeah, and even with us, right, during the NHRA days where we had the Battle GM, we had the Battle Honda, we had the Battle Dodge, right? And GM was the worst.
The Sunfire.
Cubic dollars, right? And we didn't have that money. So, I always use this quote is, and it's quoted from Vinny 10 from New York. I may not have $1 million, but I got 1 million fucking ideas, and so you have to take it that much further on details. So yes, if there's teams taking tire temps, that's good. That's good. Maybe they're taking monitoring camber gains. That way, most of the track, the tire is planted on the track and not having so much negative camber. Yeah. You know what I mean? Details, executed well, create success in anything, business, whatever. I'm not saying to be, a perfectionist, but looking at details helps create success.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, that goes back to everything we talked about before with the amount of notes that you're taking, all the other information that you're putting into the program. Like the championships don't lie. Like whatever you want to say, the championships don't lie.
Details and mated with a bunch of human beings and souls all together on the same page, aiming in the right direction for the win. You know what I mean? If you have a particular team that isn't on that trajectory, then the odds of success are negligible. You know what I mean?
Yes, it becomes more luck at that point. Like you can still have success, things will happen, but you can create luck.
Yeah. Well, you can create luck by doing your homework. You know what I mean? And training. Luck is created when you do your homework on whatever you're doing.
I was told luck is preparedness meets opportunity.
There it is.
It's stuck with me. It's definitely stuck with me over the years. So on the drifting side now, your weekend obviously very, very busy. Mm-hmm. What are you really enjoying, maybe this season or just in general with kind of the era of drifting we're in at this point? Like, is there a part where you're like, this is the part that is either different or just the most enjoyable part of the weekend?
As a whole or just for the weekend?
Just, you know what? I mean, we can go with the whole. I boil it down to a weekend, but yeah.
When the Wardhouse boys arrived back in the day, right? Before it was okay, car, or there, you can see it, car. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of a car. When the Wardhouse boys came, they stepped up the game and created inches. Daigo Saito, when he brought in the horsepower wars, that stepped up the game of US Drift. That was great. What I've noticed now is drivers in FD right now at speed have to be consistently inches with the car control inches. If you're not inches and you're like a car length, you're doing it all, you're not going to hang in pro. But now it's inches plus the timing of barely scraping that rear bumper on the transition. That's what I love, is that the skill has gotten so much better in the past 2 years of both cars mimicking each other perfectly. You know what I mean? Before you can get away with, you can get away with being the follow car being a little bit forward. Now the judges refreshed it a little bit, and it has to be you have to follow the same line filling outer zone on the follow in a particular outer zone, which I love. So now it looks amazing visually from an entertainment spectator standpoint to see them pull that shit off.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
It has gotten harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that in the past 2.5 years. If you don't know how to follow and transition within inches, and mind you, doors inches, and the transition with the front bumper in relation to the rear bumper is also inches as well.
Yeah.
That skill is fucking nuts.
Yeah. The transition skill has been, to me, the story of the last 2 years. Like,
and here's another thing that's going to happen, right?
give it to me.
Now, the old guys, that old guard, the young whippersnappers are coming.
Yeah.
They have less fear, right? They have no fear, right? Their reaction is better. You know what I mean? These Manoa, the Shanahans, Sorensen, these are all young 20s, teens. You got Sorensen, the youngest Sorensen coming in at
Cameron's
13. Yeah,
Cameron's
13
scary.
years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's if you're in your mid 20s, you're an old timer now. If you're in your 30s, watch, you're gonna see all these young kids. I mean, I think we had a prospect guy that was like 15 too.
Yeah.
He was young too, driving that Corvette. But
Yep.
we're gonna see how much you can possibly level up the driving. I have a feeling this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we've seen in the past 2 to 3 years. You know, first time I
think
saw it was Wardhouse.
Yeah.
The Wardhouse boys back in that era, they introduced, hey, get in his door. You know what I mean? And so everybody's got to get in his door. But I think this is just the tip of the iceberg of the entertainment value of what type of driving we're going to see. What I'd like to see happen to introduce a new variable is as if though something like an Ibisu, where in this case, my brainstorming session is where they basically jump into a bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had that at Freedom Factory. Everybody, Taylor Ray's done it. Von Gittin Jr., Chelsea Danoff, a number of people have done it where they start to initiate into a bowl and add a new variable. I think when we see that, obviously banks are great, right? But to be able to initiate into a bowl and then into a bank, that's gonna really step up the game. But I'd love to see things like that happen, where we introduce new variables such as a hip into a bowl. It's sad that Irwindale's gone.
Yeah.
Those bowls are very entertaining because you can see everything. You know what I mean? And
from the crowd perspective, it's perfect.
but that's what I would like to see in the future. But the game has changed. If you're not within inches and able to control and anticipate your lead car on the transition and following, I think we just started seeing that the past 2-3 years max.
Yeah, I think the crazy transitions that we see out of the Irish drivers, it's being caught on. Like I've noticed Osbo, Forsberg in particular, both like really now starting to kind of get into that. But I think it'll be 2-3 years before almost every transition will look that way from like top 16 up, where like that's what it's going to be like. So, and that'll become the judging factor is the transition, which is like not really an official judging factor right now, right? Like imagine when proximity is so close that the only thing you have to variable off of is the transition proximity. That's kind of the next step. That'd be sick.
A lot of people, most of the time, they'll back off, which is safer, and then come back in.
Yeah.
But for them to come and slide perfectly like that, it's as if though the follow driver's bumper is scraping a complete U off the complete rear end of the lead car. You know what I mean?
I think it does in a lot of cases. I mean, we see bumpers lost in transition. So I think, but I
want to see a jump.
A jump.
I want to see somebody jump into a bowl. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a FD event at Freedom Factory where they start the initiation, they start the starting line into the pit from the pits and go full straight into the bowl, bam! It would be nuts. That'd be, and the suspension. Now, mind you, you'd have to come up with a completely different. It's sort of like Orlando, but this time all four wheels are off the ground, so you have to compensate for that in your suspension setup.
Yeah, I think cars with much more droop will do a lot better. As long as we're not like judging it based on the height that you get. Like,
no.
Right? If that was a judgeable thing, then cars the shorter, would do better because the wheel would stay up higher. But I think drivers would all have to figure out droop significantly more. Like the mid-pack, lower pack guys would be like, you would have to know how to set that.
That's why Ebisu is such a beautiful thing. You're jumping into a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Too bad it's back to a rally course. Maybe they'll pave it again one day. We'll see. It'd be nice. Is there any other big changes? Like, let's say for some crazy reason, Andy and Ryan walk up to you one day saying, Ron, we're done. Here are the keys to FD. Do with it what you will. Is there anything you would immediately jump on and change, or would you go like how would you operate?
Well, the foundation has already been set, which is great, right? If anything, it'd be building on top of that. I would like it would be great to cover the outtakes of what's the background of these drivers?
Yeah.
What did it take for you to prepare there? What are your roots? How did you end up going into this? What kind of challenges have been happening through the season to help you get through this? You know what I mean? I'd love to hear the backstories of what it took to get there, or add on top of what exactly FD is doing. It'd be nice. I think they're already brokering a deal, something like that, but similar to F1, where you don't just film on race day. You're filming all year long on stories, team principles, the stories behind the scenes of, Osbo, what have you been doing? Dude, you're behind, where you'd interview something like him before a race and going, dude, you've been out top 32, 2 races in a row. What's going on? You know, and they'd go over, well, I haven't been feeling well, or this happened, or, why are you doing so shitty the past 2 events? And getting that story. Oh, Matt, what happened here? What, when you got ran over, what did you have to fix, or what happened? I'd love to hear these stories. Rome, when he first got into pro, he jackknifed his truck and flipped it over and all kinds. I'd love to hear that story. What happened? What did it take to get there?
I think speaking candidly about myself here, I think this podcast is proof that would work, because the show does well. I mean, admittedly, like, it does well. The podium show is one of the most viewed pieces of content every event. Sometimes it is the second best next to the actual event itself, which is wild to me. So I agree. I would love to see a pre-show. I would love to see, like, this is what happens, even if we just copy and paste what F1 does. If it's 3 presenters standing there talking, and then it throws to a piece where we do a really quick interview with the driver, and that pre-show runs before the event or something like that. Or even, I do think that there's a lot of content pieces that we could implement. It's all money. I know that. Just making stuff up, right?
It so happens that James Dean is a sheep herder, and he has 40 sheep that he tends to in Ireland.
It's not the most wrong thing, but go to Ireland and see him cutting his grass.
Wow, he goes, I put him in this machine and I shear him and all that stuff, and you know what I mean? It's just like, wow, he's not just a car guy. He's a farmer too. You know what I mean? Or a sheep herder. I'm just speaking blatantly. It's like, oh, wow, I didn't know that.
I think we're doing more of that. Like, the Under the Hood series is showing more of the builds and going through that. Like, it's there. The content does well. The hunger is there. I mean, it'll come down to a money thing. But I agree that if they could land a Netflix thing, there was that trailer that came out a couple years ago. I know you're saying, like, I know there's been a lot of talks about it. I honestly have no idea where it stands. Maybe you know more than I do, but...
Oh,
yeah.
And another thing I would nurture, right? I would nurture competitive passion at all costs, right?
Okay.
I'll get you next time. No, if you feel free to exert how you feel. Say, dude, I got ripped off, or in this case, if I was James Dean and Matt Field let go of the steering wheel at Seattle and just went off course and stopped drifting, I go, dude, you're a flopper. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Why didn't you just keep driving? I know I would have lost, but why didn't you just keep drifting? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What'd you do? Right when I hit you, you let go of the steering wheel? You know what I'm saying? Things like that I would nurture, right? And then when it did happen, right, that drama would be covered. You know what I mean? That's entertainment. Yeah.
On the next podium show, I will be more straightforward and try and brew up this controversy that clearly you and I both want. You and I both want it. So let's do it.
It's entertainment, but
right.
Hey, nice race. I'll get you next time. No, you know what? Next time I see you at an event, I'm putting you on the trailer. No matter how, even though Chelsea had said he would inflict bodily harm, right? And New Jersey, to me, that was entertainment.
We still talk about it.
It was bravado. I wish I could be like that towards somebody that had wronged me on track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people identify with that. I really identify with Chelsea Denofa because somebody had done that to me, but I didn't say anything. But Chelsea Denofa said something that I'm not saying to turn it into WWE or something, but when somebody exerts their emotion and their passion for winning, right? I think that should be held in open arms and nurtured, because we're all emotional human beings. I'm not saying to say evil things that are political, but for the passion of winning, cover it. Cover their emotion. Cover how they felt. Cover how they felt they got ripped off. Cover how much they hated the judges for protesting and feeling get ripped off. Cover it. You know what I mean? Even though it seemed, if I was marketing director of FD, let's say, I would nurture things like that because there's human beings and we can't be just the perfect drivers and so nice and whatever. No, this is a competition. I'm here to win and I'm here to kick your fucking ass. You know what I mean?
I like it.
It's not, don't get me wrong. We have to be cordial and, have respect for each other, but the raw ferocity to win, right? Win in a right way, mind you, but the ferocity to win, it's not, racing is not unicorns and rainbows. Somebody's got to lose. Second place is first place loser, you know? And, there's no fucking 15th place ribbon. You know what I mean? And, there might be some drivers out there that are able to sashay on there and just pull it off naturally. But I really believe that when you want to win, there's that fire inside of you. There's that passion. And when it gets on track, it is roaring. You may not see it on certain drivers, but that passion to win, because winning ain't easy. Yeah. It ain't easy. And I don't know, actually, Frederick Osbo, he's a really nice guy. And at the time, he won with just being a nice guy. But I think most people who
I've
win,
seen the competition. Yeah.
People that win, I'd love to hear what's in their heart, what's in their soul when they want to win. That's what I want to hear about. Some drivers may be able to pull off and just go, oh yeah, I won. No, to me, there's a fire inside, and they don't like to lose. They don't like to lose.
I've seen it. I've seen it with a lot of them.
Losing sucks.
I agree.
Losing sucks. Losing sucks, and I want to hear from them how it felt to lose. So what are you gonna do? You haven't qualified. You've been out 2 rounds of top 32, right? What are you going to do? Here, in this case, Frederick Osbo, you've been out top 32. What is going on? Are you going to take it? What are you doing to prevent that from happening? You know what I mean?
We just need you as an interviewer. Like you should have your own show, Ron, and ask those questions.
But that's what I would like to nurture. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To me, that's noteworthy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Human beings, when they're viewing it, they're like, wow, I felt that way when my, I don't know, at my job, my boss was treating me like that way. You know what I mean? I want to win, you know? Oh, you know what? Maybe I can win. Maybe I can get that promotion, or a kid for that matter. You know, I can do better on that test. I just have to want it. And I was watching, Matt Field. I was watching Matt Field and his ferociousness. I identify with Matt Field because I need to be more aggressive in taking that test or getting that promotion. You know what I mean? What I saw at FD this past weekend. So whatever driver they identify with, they can apply that to life. You know what I mean?
I like it. Ron, I got an idea, and for everybody at home, I'm sure you're enjoying this conversation as much as Ron and I both are. But my idea is I'm gonna get on a plane. And I'm gonna come to you, and I think
cool.
we wrap this conversation up in person. Let's done it on my side.
Let's do it at my house. We'll do it
All
at
right,
my
let's
house.
do it at your place. All right, I'm gonna jump on a plane. I will see you in a few hours, sir.
Have a safe flight, brother.
All right, see you in a minute.
Okay.
Oh!